Hello, hello, hello. Just checking in. Hello, everybody. See some new faces, some familiar faces as well. Good day. Hey, hey, hey. Good day from wherever you are. Um, Currently, right here, it's evening. So maybe for you, it's in the morning or the afternoon. So good day in any shape or way. Um, First of all, welcome to our very first online webinar. Actually, it's the first time we actually do something on such a big scale as well, so for people to connect from all over for the comfort of your home. And it's lovely to have you all here present as well, having your interest in Amenti, in the practice that we do, specifically since it comes from a place which, after today, I will be sharing actually for the first time very publicly of how this all came to be. Um, it's an interesting story as well, but I think this story can be very inspirational for other people who try to invoke and bring change, not only by themselves but by collective as well. And yeah, I'm very excited. Um, Personally, still tired. Yesterday, we just today, today we actually just arrived from Japan as well, which was a very inspiring trip with the tribe. Soon there will be an Amenti experience on our YouTube videos. You can actually watch some of them already back, in which we share in a mini documentary form like those important life-altering trips. So yeah, it gives you an extra insight. So um, yeah, in that sense, let's get to it. In the end of this little special but deep webinar, there's a Q&A, which you can just ask your question in the chat box below, and Tamara will be make sure to answer them in any type of way. I'm not here by myself. The rest of the tribe is here as well, supporting in their way, and a lot of the things that we do is in the collective sphere. So, yeah. Um, so, Amenti is a community-based organization that spreads to share self-awareness through the soma, through the mind, connecting the mind-body connection, and actually remembering people the magic of being. That is in its core our essence and the thing that we live for, do for, commit our lives to actually. Um, Such a thing doesn't come easily, of course. Specifically, the understanding of how things sometimes come to fruition is often just as important as the result of it. Learning how the fruits actually got grown in the first place. And I think um, one of our creed in the thing that we do is we we lead by example, and that's often also requires us to be vulnerable. So somewhere I'm a bit excited about sharing some personal um, aspects from how this weird but um amazing vehicle of change came to be. For some of y'all, this might be very new. Um, for some of y'all, familiar. But let's buckle up. And at first, the origin starts all often as, yeah, the beginning point actually. And Amenti actually started as a idea, literally just a train of thoughts that just came to be. And 9 years later, we have several people living from it. And that thought to be came through a very long journey of self inquiry as well, um, self discovery, faced with struggles, moments in which a lot of us would also feel like unable to move forward. So, sharing this and hearing this is just as medicinal as maybe doing the practice. Um, to go to the origins, beginning, once again. Um, my name is Gil. Grew up in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. I'm 34 years old now. Just turned 34 a week ago, so it's actually my first time saying this in public. um, and thank you. And I grew up in an environment which, in the 90s, you would say was a neighborhood filled with poverty, a ghetto, so to speak. Um, Living in the poorest neighborhood of Rotterdam, of the Netherlands at the time, actually, um, created a situation for me as a young kid already that I had a warped sense of what could be. Everyone that looked like me in that time specifically, we did not have like role models. So the options that I thought was possible for me to do was very limited. Um, Also understanding that in that environment where you're small and you see a lot of crime happening, you see you see just friends and kids in the neighborhood get affected by crime and just end up in prison, um, sets a tone of reality. That reality is not a life is not the most safest place. Um, but also shed some light in about these places when people don't have much. There's a natural sense of community. So from an early age on, I already saw a sense of communal awareness, specifically when you're in an environment where you don't have much. So that comes a bit natural. Um, and I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. My mom turned into a Jehovah's Witness when she was around 5, 6 years old. When I was 5 or 6 years old, and that shaped my life um, for a major part of my life, actually. For the people who do not know, Jehovah's Witness is a very strong religious Christian religious, yeah, cult. Um, which you're not allowed to do much, let alone everything what I'm doing right now is satanic. So Jehovah, please don't shoot me down. But growing up in a household that was very, very constricted, a lot of abuse happening, as well as a young kid, um, led to my body already growing up in a body full with trauma. But not knowing in such places what we know now today. We did not know what mental health was. We didn't understand what trauma was. So for me, it was natural to just, yeah, this was life. I had no other comparison to. So growing up with that, when I found dance was this ideal outlet. It was the first time. Uh, Actually, I got blackmailed to go there. My brother wanted to go to the dance class. He was a bit shy, and then I was a big ass nerd, and I like to play games. And he was like, he wanted to go to the class, but he was like, "Nah, I'm not going by myself." He was like, "If you don't come with me, you're not going to play on my Xbox." And boom, he had me. And as a young, skinny kid, I was for the first time in a dance school called the Hip Hop House, which opened my mind to what's possible. And just finding an art form in which I could actually express things, which in my household was not done, um, led for me to a very quick realization that dance is something that I want to continue doing. It is my medicine already from a young age. When I was around 15, 16, I already kind of knew like, okay, this is it. Which is not young for most dancers, so sometimes pretty old. And that led to a journey of discovering hip hop, the culture, actually realizing that the things that specifically marginalized people sometimes actually experience is that their perception and capabilities of the world is very limited. And through the lens of hip hop, I could see, I could actually do things which I only dreamed of. I could travel the world. I could meet different people. I could exchange. I could share my art. So that led to a bigger realization of what's possible. But life was still hard. Um, I got excommunicated, and my mom eventually chose to stick with family as well. So we stepped out of that Jehovah's Witness um, aspect, and that also came with the traditional, let's say, guilt or anger, so to speak. So being prohibited to dance actually was one of the results of that, and experience something be taken away from me from that was so dear to me led to this fiery resolve of no, this is. I did everything in my power to basically still continue, which worsened the relationship with my parents, for example. Eventually led to me to wander. I had to leave the house, and basically survived from a early age on, made this mentality of not taking a side job. And dance was, I sacrificed so much for dance and movement that yeah, no matter what, made this promise to myself to not take a side job, but keep on moving, how hard it would be. That resulted in a very years of experiencing a lot of highs, like TV shows, How's Got Talent, so you think you can dance, but also realizing that I did all these things in order to get validation, to to find validation from my parents, to prove to them like, yo, see, your son has talent. But with accumulation, with different negative experiences as well, not being able to navigate through that. Um, Notice myself just hardening up, which eventually led to my psychosis on the 21st of December 2012 already. Um, that shifted a major aspect in my whole career. Like I could not perform regularly. My biggest trigger was being in front of people because my psychosis happened around people. So being a dancer is not the most combination with that, and that led to a big loss. The thing that I sacrificed so much for, family, connections, friendships. Um, I was suddenly finding a hard time even doing that. So realizing that dance was one of the things that kept me sane, but suddenly became hard to do. Um, I noticed I need there needs to be then there needs to, something needs to happen. Also, not knowing what a psychosis was, and I remember that Elia, who's I think you can see it right here, Elia, which is the matriarch of Amenti, creative producer, momager, Mama. She was actually the first time we actually hung out. She was my classmate first, and the first time we hung out actually outside of school, I had my psychosis and um, ended up in her arms, having epileptic seizures, and she had to bring me home. And um, the reason why she was able to do that, I will touch upon later as well, because all of that has to do with this homage that we also carry within Amenti. Um, but back to that event. The event changed me. It changed my being. It changed the way I thought about myself, how I felt, my reality. I thought I was going crazy. But being a black man from the ghetto, speaking about mental health in that time was not done. And I noticed that my dance after my psychosis changed, like how I expressed myself, which makes sense because when we say dance is self-expression, if the self changes, the expression of self also changes. Um, so I noticed that something started to shift certain things that um, I danced before in certain other projects actually happened in my psychosis. And sometimes when I tried to practice and dance, certain movements suddenly kept on popping up from my psychosis as well. So from that moment on, I started to realize, yo, there's this connectedness in this experience, but also the expression of my being after this experience. And but I was also very afraid because every time I moved, it kind of, stirred things up. And I remember that shortly after that, there's this competition in the Netherlands, Just de Boe Amsterdam, which is like the biggest um, hip hop street dance battle in the world. Like that's every hip hop battle dancer biggest stage where you can be. And it was always my dream to be like, to somehow be there, just be there, actually. um, and I knew if something fucked up happened. Oops, pardon my French. Hey, but something messed up happened. So to counter that, I just wanted to counter with something redunculous, like okay, let's just do the boo, just to hide and run from the experience because I did not knew how to place it. Psychosis once again did not exist, so I just had to keep on keeping on. What I see my mom often do when things happen to her life, she just kept keeping on. And I won the the Amsterdam qualifier. And I noticed that when I danced the performance, because it's experimental and it's all freestyle, and I had this weird beat, like it's still somewhere on YouTube, like how I danced in that video, comparison to how I danced before. That was the first time I danced after my psychosis. I could see like something changed, and I won the qualifier. In the final run, I had a blackout because I could not, like my body was so fresh through that experience that it just used that window to just catharsize things. Um, I still cannot see that last run. I still have no idea what I did. People told me it was good, but a month later, the World Finals happened, and I just was so terrified of moving my body after that experience. I just made a decision to just listen to music. And there was this one album from Corporate, which is my favorite artist of all time. Corporate. Tom, you can type his name down. Amazing artist. Um, and he had this album called Colors, and it was in that same moment when I was also like finding out about spirituality. I was diving deep into chakras and colors. The album Colors had this weird connection with that, and I was like, whoa. And it was some very experimental music. Like if you just type the album, you're gone for like the whole night. Um, and I just did not move. I just was listening to the music and the soundscapes and what it did to my body, and actually absorbing that musicality and those stories. Like I could relate to the songs differently. My hearing changed after that, and a month later, I won the World Finals, and that was for me the biggest shock. I mean, the shock was just as big because for the Netherlands, because it did not happen often, but me actually achieving my dream, which I actually danced for, after such a negative experience like 2 months prior, was actually something which I think helped me kept me being alive, knowing that it's possible to experience such a low, but also experiencing such a high in a short period. But also came with this very cold realization that even when I achieved my dream, I got home and I still felt depressed, empty. I became a world champion. I had the biggest validation ever. I could say, "Hey, mom, I did it." And I came home and I felt empty. felt maybe even bad enough, sad actually. Um, Realizing that something that you just gave your life to for so long and you have it and it doesn't mean anything, that led me to actually spiral down very fast again, um, which then became apparent for me like, yo, there's more to be done. Um, my being changed. I relate different to the world. So there's this connection between myself and this experience. There's a connection to me and my dance. And if dance is the thing that kept me sane, there's something probably in dance that can help me heal. So I studied with Leal. Leal moved in. Leal never left actually from the experience. Um, she moved in, and together with Nether, who's also part of Amenti, we just dove into this radical like discovery of studying so many different things, just finding out how the mind works and how the universe works, and just absorbing different information. And we kind of did it together as well. And in that time I started reading books, and I started about reading about ego identities and spirituality and everything. And I was reading, I could understand it, I could use it for on the mind level, I could use it on the spirit level sometimes. But like every time I read it, I was like, okay, but what does this mean to the body? Like how, like in my, from coming from where I'm from, this information was gold. But I had the luck, quote unquote, to um, be diagnosed as gifted very early on. So I could absorb information very fast, which I know a lot of people coming from Spanga, my neighborhood, the people who come from similar neighborhoods, don't have that access or understanding of those difficult concepts. See, for me, it was do or die. Either I heal myself from my psychosis, or I give up and give up the thing that I love the most. So I had this natural like fire to just understand it, understand me. And so I was always had in mind like how can I translate these difficult concepts to people who have less opportunities to get this information. How can I, as a dancer, like how does this translate? Like how do I give shape to the ego? Or something like I could not fathom it. And I started reading, and I was like, okay. And somehow this realization started to come that this translation to the body, to movement, to dance was something that I did not see yet. And there's this particular experience, which is a very personal experience as well, but I cannot speak about the origins of Amenti without this particular experience with this particular person, whose name I will not name, but was part of Amenti in the beginning. So during those studies and working sometimes with ayahuasca and different plant medicines, etc., um, important to understand that Amenti did not came to fruition without the magical medicine of marijuana as well, because we're from the Netherlands. And yes, people, we smoke. And to be honest, it just helped connecting dots. That's actually what, when we practiced back in the day, we used sensimilia to heighten the senses. Sensimilia. So to sense actually subconsciously already sense the body more. And what happens when let's say your cannabinoids are activated in a different way, you start to make different connections. So we could actually use dance to make different connections and points. And under the realm of psychedelics, sometimes you can see more than you normally do. So it made it a bit tangible to make the unseen a bit more seen and what we did and how we felt. But apart from that, there was this moment in which I saw one of my friends going almost through a psychosis himself. Um, and we were in my house, and we were with a group of people, and he started going spiraling down, and um, also not wanting to alert the rest. Um, from that point, he was like very going down, 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 and that was the first time I guided someone through the method that I secretly like kind of created for myself and noticed like, okay, this helps. And I use this for my own expression as well. I use it on someone else in the heat of a moment. And I basically shared some of the things that I did and seeing um, how he went from this frantic state of having too much substance in his system to being able to find clarity. Like literally, his eyes was dilated, and suddenly he became clear through movement, through dance. Finding his confidence when he was almost fainting out was something that a group of people witnessed. People who were not even spiritual. Leal was there again, always, still here, um, and we all witnessed this experience being prevented, which I had to go through just by having someone who could help that person in the heat of the moment move through his negative energy, through his fears, through his doubts on the moment when it gets heightened. That person normally would be maybe later institutionalized, for example. Like he would end up in an institution. He would be considered so many different things, labeled due to one negative experience. And just seeing how that could be prevented for me became clear like that is something here. And it would be selfish if I would just keep it for myself and for my own expression. And from that, I knew like, okay, there is something in the things that I started developing. I started developing as a way to heal myself, to rewire triggers actually. One of the things was, for example, me actually kind of re-invoking the starting point of my psychosis, but then using dance to kind of deviate from it to create a quote unquote a new ending. Now, with the knowledge of that I have now, I understand that it's just rewiring certain connections that the brain has to and trigger. But that happened all intuitive. Um, So having those experiences, and I was dead ass scared to be like, yo, maybe this is just a placebo effect. Maybe this is just something that I want to do for myself. Maybe this is just something that, I really wanted to heal myself. But also witnessing that experience, like I prevented a psychosis from my best friend through movement. Elia asked Leah, like, yo, Leah, because Leah was there from the get-go, helped me actually heal from my psychosis on a personal level as well, facilitating certain moments that were pivotal for my healing, but also just being the best buddy, as we call it sometimes in our work, the best buddy you could wish for in a moment where you have to go through such a difficult experience. And from that experience of psychosis, I, for example, now know what it is to be spiritual homeless. Like I know what it is to not be safe, to be ridiculed, to be exiled. But for Leah, for example, she has a background with schizophrenia, so actually seeing someone going for psychosis is something that she, in her personal life, which was first a trauma, a wound, inherently knew how to deal with when she met me. And being this anchor of just listening without trying to alter my experience, but also having someone present that was quote unquote physically here allowed us to navigate through the psychosis in these different chapters and actually understanding, there's actually meaning behind it. The psychosis episodes of this episode, what happened here is not just random. It's connected to a part of my psyche, and such, etc. So we started to actually map the most negative experience in our life. And so that was the person, like, okay, let's just invite a group of people in the hip hop house where I teach, where I taught, and let's just try some of these exercises. But who? So we just looked around and we just found some weird people were like the dancers who were like kind of weird and deeper. We were like, yeah, there might be something there. And we invited all these, I think of the first time was 7 or 8 dancers in this space. And I was nervous as hell. Like I thought like, yo, I'm gonna do some damage right here, maybe. I was like, oof. But from the get-go, the first exercises, like hearing feedback, like, yo, we've been dancing for years, but the things that we're doing here, like, yo, I've never done. And we should be doing this a lot more. And having people like expressing and catharsisizing. And for me, it was really weird to witness something or some of these exercises that I created in my living room, to see having such a profound effect on other bodies. So from that moment, it became apparent, like, yo, this is something to be developed. And the majority of people there were like, yo, this is something, this is something. And basically that group of people actually started to become the formation of Amenti, the collective of Amenti, which we were called Amenti Collective in that sense. And it started from this point of having these multiple bodies and developing this movement medicine through the lens of having different bodies and experiences, but also different perspectives, different languages, and creating this container that lasted for like, I think 2 or 3 years unpaid. I have no idea how we did it. So I am truly like, now it will be impossible. But like for 2 or 3 years, like we, for 3, 4, 5 days in a week, just came together and just started developing things. And Leal was there writing, as she also still is doing. Check our newsletter. She writes magnificent little magical words that actually can loop and change your train of thought about things. But she was always there just reflecting and having this conversation going on and having these 8 different bodies with different traumas as well, reacting different. And one of the most powerful things that I witnessed then was, because everybody was so tight, that when someone went through something, naturally all of us wanted to help. And when those moments happened, I guided the rest of the group, be like, yo, can we do this and this and this? Sometimes not even knowing themselves, like what it is exactly they do, but just relying on intuition. Over a course of months, I just saw that connection point, that intuitive connection with people, like starting to heighten, because you witness wounds, but you also witness the healing of these wounds. And by being so close and being an active participant in that, your body and your mind also memorizes that information. You experience it in some way, maybe not as deep, but this knowing arises like, oh, next time someone is going through this, I inherently know what I can do. And having that happen in a collective sphere, the group consciousness and the magic that started happening was like, da, 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 da. And at a certain moment, this realization of, okay, this group energy is, yo, this group healing that can be done. Hive body, indeed. The hive collective as well. One of my favorite animals are ants. I love the hives. But just seeing that awareness getting stronger and stronger, and actually people heal. From that, we started to shape this method. But also realizing that this collective spirit in things, like a lot of the healing that happens, is often very happens in solitude by themselves. But the majority of wounds also happen in groups. And coming from West Africa, this collective way of thinking, if one person of a tribe gets sick, that person carries the disease and the illness of the whole collective. Just for me became super important to integrate. So I had this idea of having this group, but the name could not. I didn't have a name yet. And some of us know how terrible that phase is when you try to come up with names for things, and you're like, "Oh God, this is not it." Um, and I think there was this one evening when we got home from practice, and Elia was very deep in esoteric scriptures and everything. She geeks on that as well. I think like, oh, we found these emerald tablets of Thoth. You can write it as a PDF. And there was this sixth tablet, which is the key of magic. So here we also go a bit to a bit of esoteric knowledge of things. Which the tablet 6 was the key of magic. And as a background story, like going from psychosis to spirituality, that means my path into spirituality was a lot different than what I saw happening on Instagram. Oof, there was no love and light in this household. No, 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 no. I just saw danky stuff. That was all it. I see people on YouTube like, yeah, I connect with my angels, and I see shadows running around. I'm like, damn, that's the type of party I want to be invited to, but it's not happening for me. Basically, my whole spiritual journey was by actually witnessing, quote unquote, the darkness. I refer to darkness now as the not cozy magic, but witnessing the negative energies of people, basically. See, after my psychosis, certain senses got heightened, like you witness things that are not physically here. That's also one of the reasons why you call it crazy. But it can also become crazy wise in that sense. And for me, that was part of my journey of actually learning how to use these senses. And for me, one of the senses that really got heightened, which I also described with the listening to corporate, was I became a lot more clairaudient. That's actually one of my ways of responding to intuition, actually. And so I started witnessing a lot of darker things, and spirituality, New Age, and everything was like making this. Wow. It was the wave after 2012, and everything was love and light, and I just felt so alone. I was like, like I somehow got angry. Like, yo, where are my guides at? Where are my guides at? And so this on this particular evening, I got home and I read this text, the Key of Magic, and that was the first spiritual scripture that I read, which described my current sense of reality. Meaning, it shed light on the beautiful stuff, but it also shed light on the darker side of spirituality, which was the part I witnessed more often. And I found such a strong recognition. Like those words, like did something in my DNA. Like I started crying. It felt like these words were words that I've already read before in other life. Like it felt so familiar. And I just felt so heard and seen and like understood. And I was like, yo, and there was this one name which just rang like a bell inside, like that. And that word was, or the name was Amenti, coming from the halls of Amenti. The halls of Amenti is a mystical place, which in ancient Kemet, so when we think about Kemet, which is the original name of ancient Egypt, which means the black lands, the black soil, refer to this place where at the end of the trajectory of different mystery schools and understanding the mind, body, and soul, that they would venture to face their biggest challenges. They would be surrounded in this dark chamber for 3 days. Sounds pretty familiar, like Jesus. But I digress. But and they would face their biggest fears and obstacles, and if they would not succeed, they would perish and reincarnate to learn life again. And if they succeeded, they could ascend to the next thing. And for some reason, that name Amenti did like, and then I started researching the halls of Amenti because it felt personally like we were going through our halls of Amenti. And my psychosis was, quote unquote, like my halls of Amenti, which might sound something so challenging and hard and difficult, but eventually leads you to this other point. It's like this portal in which you travel through, where you learn to alchemize those negative experiences and become something new. Also realizing that a lot of these information of spirituality actually, and also the menti, comes from these Kemetic understandings of things, in which in these ancient mystery schools, they already were aware of this connection between mind, body, and soul. They made use of for example, the chakra system that we know in India, for example, which was already prior there as well. And that notion of a menti, I just knew like, it somehow clicked in that it was somewhere my mission to help people move through their Amenti. And that's actually what Amenti movement also stands for. To move through your Amenti, to move through your illusion of self, to alchemize those wounds that eventually lead you to this path of fulfillment. By understanding these wounds, you understand the lack of, and therefore you can fulfill that. And having this name, which I respect highly, this name came in place with this group that started to form. And from that group, we started to have this mentality to heal ourselves, to heal the collective foremost, but to also like basically like spread this possibility of change, of hope through movement, through art. We would make showcases and theater productions which would like waken people's perception of, whoa, we're actually, this is possible, this is possible. And on the other hand, we started to develop our method more and more, our medicine more and more, which after a couple years in this secret container, after years, we were like, okay, maybe we can start sharing this with people, with non-dancers, with movers, with humans. That led to this weird trajectory of 9 years, which did not come easy. Because in the first moments, you get ostracized. You get, people don't understand what it is that you do. But on the other hand, you see the groups of people that walk into our spaces and leave changed just by experiencing something free as movement. but also this idea of what would happen if you have this group of people who train together, eat together, shit together, fart together. I mean, specifically now, I mean, they are kind of walking around a bit now here. Um, and like, what will happen on a collective level with that hive mind if you have 10 and 20 years of shared experiences? And to make a point back to my dream of becoming a world champion, I noticed that a lot of the egoic dreams that we chase is actually egoic and just occurs to us, the I. You cannot share that, which makes that experience of memory wither off in time. Life is actually about having this multitude of shared experiences, and which in 10 years' time, or 5 years' time, or 20 years' time, this medicine that we cultivate together starts to become even deeper, deeper and deeper and deeper through that connection. And so, witnessing from afar of how people actually resonated with what we did. The first 2 years, 3 years, we were wackos. Just so you know, like people were like, "Oh, y'all doing some fruity ass stuff." We've been called a lot of things, like a lot. And that has also happened before because as an experimental dancer, you're already weird. So people already referred to me as an exorcist dancer and things or whatever from the hip hop scene. So it was just a repeating pattern which hurt because you try to do something genuine for people and people, shame you for that. It's different, but it's needed. So seeing how people connected to this shared principle of doing things together. We see a lot in the spiritual communities, and if you look at Instagram, you see a lot of these teachers, mentors, shamans doing beautiful things, but they are always by themselves, an individual. I will not call names, but if you think about those influential people, it's usually a single person, single name. But we all talk about coming together to connect, to move as a collective. So one of the principal things in Amenti was always to like, how can we do something as a collective? And of course, there's always a lead and etc. But to highlight the fact that you can do these things as a collective, what the the benefits of that are, what it will do, that it's possible. And it was not easy because living together and holding a group together is one of the hardest things that you can do. But people saw it was possible. People saw it's you can actually make life happen, spending time with loved ones and creating something meaningful with your loved ones and travel the world with it. But it doesn't come easy, once again. Because Amenti is also a mystery school still. Our own mystery school. A mystery school that we try to bring back in a contemporary time and age with language that is maybe more now, with structures that are more relevant today, with traumas that are uniquely tied to our current situation. I mean, social media is not described in ancient scriptures, maybe. Maybe that's a parallel dimension they're talking about. But all of these matters we try to bring back because we saw and noticed that it was important for people to reconnect with themselves. And not only on a mind level, which we are used to in the West, but also through the body and through the soul, and understanding that those three as essential things actually accumulate this human experience in what language or what name you would refer to. Amenti is a school which reminds all of us as well that in order to teach, we need to be a student ourselves as well. And the best teachers always realize that actually, even when they teach, they often learn the most. Because we can learn from other people and their experiences, but we can also learn from each other. So the majority of the collective work that we do internally is for us, each one teach one, but also lead by example, by us doing the work together as well. It is understanding that working as a collective, as a tribe, does not come easy, and that requires people to do the healing. But the healing we cannot do by ourselves. We need tribe. We need mirrors. We need other. We need each other. So having an understanding of the body, we come from dance, hip hop dance, which naturally had these cathartic elements already inside them, coming from places which they naturally had to heal themselves intuitively. Same as what happened in my living room, because I'm a child of hip hop. Understanding spirituality, Eastern spirituality, but also Kemetic spirituality. But also understanding Western Jungian psychology. I mean, I'm Team Young, not Freud. So having these different things together is actually accumulation of body, mind, and soul, which we combine in our method, in our medicine. And actually, also next month, we need to taste our medicine again. And medicine doesn't taste nice, but it's good for you. So to alchemize ourselves makes it possible for us to alchemize others better as well, which is the task we all have. Each one, once again, teach one. And this is where Amenti also is about. We think and see and feel that we have these different parts of ourselves that we can operate from, our strengths or weaknesses. So we work with a layer system, for example, which reflect to the 7 Hermetic principles, 7 sins, 7 virtues, 7 chakras, 7 whatever you want to call it. And these parts are connected to also physical organ, the glands, different glands. So by actually doing bioenergetic work, moving the body, dancing, but also applying the psychological aspect, and so that we know what it is that we are moving. Like we need to name it before we can heal it. We need to give it language, because everything we cannot give language becomes abstract, and we cannot phantom it, we cannot grasp it, we cannot work with it. So this idea to combine psychology with movements and to make this bridge become a center point of understanding principles from both aspects actually helps foster the mind-body connection. And with these 7 layers, we work in our method as well. Coming from West Africa, we often refer to it as elements, which all of us have this symbolic understanding with. If I would say my fire is too big, we understand what it kind of entails. So the element of earth, water, fire, air, sound, light, and thought, which correlates to the different layers that we work with. The layer of physicality, the layer of sensations, the layer of power, the layer of connection, the layer of vibration, the layer of symbols, and the layer of understanding, which correlate to different psychological identities, physical identity, emotional identity, the ego identity, the social identity, the creative identity, archetypical identity, and the universal identity, which correlate to 7 different rights of the human experience. I have the right to exist, to be, to feel, to act, to love, to speak, to see, to know, which correlate to 7 negative experiences in life: fear, guilt, shame, regret, sorrow, lies, illusion, attachment, or forgetfulness. What helped me in my journey of healing was seeing that in the major of arcana of wounds, one of these layers would often be affected by the most, and that led to a disbalance in things. Growing up in a household where I was told not to be able to do, not to act, led to reflection to my sense of power. Growing up in an environment that reminds you that you being alive means you're a threat to the system, and experiencing physical abuse from a very early age on, which makes it clear that even the household that you grow up in is not safe, affects my right to be. And when we have these rights infringed upon, we develop wounds. And these wounds we start to cope with, these coping mechanisms. These coping mechanisms becomes part of our character or behavior, and we identify so much with it that we often think that the person we are now is by choice, but actually due to coping. And thus often we feel stuck. We have old systems within us that do not serve us anymore, and we need to alchemize that. And this is where Amenti comes into place. This ritual, this dedication to move through those old obstacles that maybe created the current sense of you, or will lead you to a new path, a new heightened sense of self. Because the person who I am today, if you asked me this 10 years ago, I would laugh in your face like, oh, hell no, impossible. Or not even, this is what I want. But to understand that these layers, it's our job to balance that, to become a good person rather than a whole person rather than a good person. To heal ourselves from it so we can heal the people who came before us, but also we can heal the people that come after us. That is the mission of Amenti, and this is why we balance these distortions in our psyche, which are stored in our body, which our soul constantly is in dialogue with. We use movement as a way to balance these energies, not just by wish-washing it away, but by understanding where it comes from and transmuting that essence into an energy that is created from a foundation of that wound. True alchemy. Yee. Yeah. So, of course, there's a lot more towards it. There's a lot of experiences. Like, oh, we should actually make a. I'm looking at Leal right now. We should make a documentary, something like those experiences and moments that happened. I mean, Elia, can I say it already? I mean, we are writing a book, and Elias like starting already, like the book of movement, where some of these experiences might, I hope, come through. But it's important to understand that to move as a collective, like we need to do the work, and we need more collectives. We need people to come together and bring their own medicine, but also understand that mastery is needed in this day and age, specifically with AI. The only way to combat AI is through mastery. So actually, AI challenges us to become better, in a sense, to do better. Like we can't slack no more. So do the work, and we believe that there's not one way of doing it. Find the way that works for you best. And for us, it is this combination with movement, spirituality, and psychology. Not upholding to a certain specific dogma, but actually just applying one dogma, and that's the human dogma. Hopefully, this story origin can be of inspiration for some, and understand that even though when you're in a moment you feel like, yo, I really do something, but I don't find inspiration or whatever, not that you don't need to seek inspiration externally. Just look back in your own life and see, okay, these are the experiences what I went through and I survived it. That means I have an understanding of it. And if I don't have a complete understanding, maybe I should dive into that, because through the healing of that experience, I understand what it is to help other people who go through a similar experience like that. And thus I can be of natural value. That's all you need. I often say your body is your inner akasha, it's your library, it contains everything that you need. And I'm not saying that it's easy to go within. It's not. It's freaking difficult. Mm. I will not be your traditional spiritual guru and just say, do this and do this and do this, because I don't believe that's the case. Like, it's nasty as work sometimes. Sometimes it's work, you're like, oh man. And for me, spirituality is about humility as well, to just realize that there's always something on the surface. For us as a collective, for me as an individual, there's always something on the surface. And that's what's important to take with. It's a practice. It's not a goal. It's not a state. It's a practice to be, quote unquote, aware, to be conscious, to be woke, to be spiritual, to be human is an active thing, even if you don't feel like it. And at moments you don't, which is completely human and good. So, um, yeah, I've been rambling your ears off for already an hour. And in this last part, I would like to open up a little Q&A if there's something that you wish to ask. This is a moment to type it down in the chat. Um, and yeah, we will make sure that we will answer a couple of them. Please do so if you feel like you need to ask a question. Though sometimes this question can be of help of others as well. See this also as an open invitation. And yeah, yeah. Mm. Let me take a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna go through something. Okay, so pardon me if I remix your name. Just see it as a remix. Um, but just see it as a nice new version of your name. Um, Elham, Elham asked, how can someone like me who's living in Iran, a country in the Middle East, can have access to your method? In my country, dance is forbidden for women, and I train myself actually. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Thank you for asking that. Um, Sometimes it's difficult to be everywhere. um, and traveling is amazing, but whew, sometimes it hits you in the face as well. But we also notice that it's sometimes not accessible to reach people as well. So actually, from tomorrow, actually, for example, and on our platform, Amenti Academy, we are now going to start to develop more programs that you can do on an online basis as well. Amenti the Academy is a portal in which next year we will actually start to provide information lessons on a weekly basis as well. So we're actually going to really build an online community as well. But for now, we already start things up. Um, Amenti.academy, you can already check the website now. There's a 7-day movement challenge. There's a 5-day house challenge by Tamara. There's a 5-day hip hop challenge by Camilla. From tomorrow on, we will have some talks on our Amenti Academy. And the talks, what we mean with talks, is actually how most people probably have seen me on those reels, where I actually do the opening talk of a workshop. So we will be sharing some of these talks, in which you can just purchase for a very low price as well, and you can just witness and absorb me blabbing our ears off about something kind of interesting for a half hour, which people seem to love and take with. But all can be found on amenti.academy. Also, soon we're going to be releasing an online module, which is a 7-week online program which you can just follow on with homework and self-assessment and tips and tools of how to adopt this medicine for yourself as well, from a very affordable price as well. Because we believe Elia comes from the punk world, I come from hip hop. We're a bit anti-capitalistic as hell. So we believe that these things should be accessible. So hopefully soon, Mental Academy, you can already check some things out, but we will be a lot more active, and we got some online workshops coming this month as well. So I hope that kind of answers your question. And yee. um, oof. So, Charlene, what is your MBTE? And also, oh yes, okay. I got Ilya provided me. I am the campaigner. For the people who do not know, this is this different personality types, which Charlene I think refers to. I'm the campaigner, and I think it's called ENFP. And on the top of my dome, is that also from the collective?
We did it as a collective, right?
No, right?
No, I'm INFJ.
And Ilya is an INFJ. Everyone is a bit different, but that's yes.
The advocate.
The advocate. Ah, the advocate. Yes, that's it. Yes. So, poof. Let's see. Ciara, why did Amenti choose Bali as a new base, especially given the island complex relationship with spiritual tourism, gentrification, etc.? And how do you navigate these dynamics while still centering own values? I like that critical question. We are we often say it as well. We are decolonial in our spirit, in our methods, and what we think and how we act things out. And we are really we are aware that an island as Bali comes with the known problems. Hence, we are here. um, we a lot of people actually asked us before we were in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, like, yeah, you should go to all these beautiful places and really do stuff there. And actually, we made the choice to stay for 8 years, which we quote unquote called the lions. Then, I mean, society, capitalism, all these effects hit you, which doesn't hit you as much when you live in an island as Bali. That's why people move like that. So we already made that choice, and I have to be honest, it was hard. um, it was hard because sometimes you want some sunshine too, and the Netherlands is not a warm country. But just to also know that it's possible, but it's important for us to also stay in Rotterdam. But at a certain moment, we also need to outgrow our roots. So there's several reasons why we actually made that move, apart from seeing something happening here and wanting to bring a change towards that. It is the notion of rooting ourselves because we can feel comfortable, which forces us to grow. Um, Also, to go to a place for the first time in our 9 years of existence, to go to a place where you are celebrated, not tolerated. And I think from the background where I came from, I think I can have some 2 years of being celebrated and being getting some sunshine and everything. um, I mean, that's self love too. Dang it. So we are staying temporarily only in Bali. We see that there's also a movement happening here, which we now see that's very important to bring a different sound. Specifically, since this is a hub where a lot of people who seek healing come. So this is where we can, for now, give our medicine. But after next year, we move to the other side of the world as well, because we are finding our ways to resettle ourselves somewhere else, which is important for us, for our growth. So, understanding the dynamics of this island, being different, coming from hip hop, and also honoring the culture. Um, we have people with roots from Papua and Moluccans and Indonesian roots as well. So this is also part of that understanding and history and actually working and changing the energy of this island as well. So that's that. Yes. Let's see. Ah, well, let's see. Can we share about Amenti's hand logo and symbol? So this one right here. Well, um, as you can see, there's a hand, and some of you might seen it right away. But this hand consists out of seven, seven fingers, which correlate with the seven layers that we work with. And as you can see on the sixth layer, there's an eye, which connects us to the layer of symbols, which refers to the unseeing eye. And that connects us to our ability to create reality. That is the connection with the layers and the hand, in which we often refer to in that layer as well, in which we actually command realities. This is where we create our magic. This is where we communicate. This is where we interact with reality. So this symbol is actually an active reminder of that we command our reality. And seven, like seven. And AS trying to sign me something, but also made by Nora Mabruki, which is an old member of Amenti. Um, Shout out to her because she remade it, so it's now fresh as well. And yeah, something that we felt like we needed to go back to. So we're really happy with that as well. Let's see. Okay. I see a question from Sophia. Sophia, I'm not even going to try the last name. Sophia, I have been on a very similar path of inner shadow work and alchemy. Finding community is the part I find hard. Do you have any advice? How can I connect and find more community? Um, I think this question is very important. It's a question that pops up a lot more, actually, specifically in this age of social media where we are more connected than more than ever, but we are actually also more alone. Um, and I think I can only speak from my experience and what helped me. But I think what's important that something will help you with finding community is learning how to commute with yourself first. Learning how to establish not the perfect relationship, but a healthier relationship. See, when we come with wounds and we show up to another person, sometimes our wounds affect our chances or our connections with these people. So by understanding yourself better, you also understand your needs better. And thus, when you understand your needs better, you understand what type of community you also need. Because we also need to be specific. Often, when we want things, um, it's easier for us to be vague. You know, I want the world. God can be like, what world? Um, but we need to be specific. And I think that's one of the things that helped me a lot with being very specific, and specifically the things that I want for myself or manifest to be as detailed as possible. So finding out what kind of community am I seeking, and also not just being in the receiving end. What can I give to this community? So it's understanding yourself, but also harnessing gifts, skills, which is very important, but which most of us not always want to do. Because when we gain skills and gain gifts, we can contribute something to that community, which makes our belonging to that community more sound. Like this is a give and take thing. So even if you're in a community and just receiving, that means you're not actually part of that community. You're receiving. So those two aspects are very important to develop skills and gifts. And that's something that once again you need to do and develop by yourself. Starts with yourself. Later on share it. And that's often the step that we often miss or forget. That we need to have these gifts so we can give something so there's even a community that wants us. Because not everyone, every community wants us as well. I mean, if people have the right to say no, I mean, they should also be saying no to us as well. And that's sometimes difficult to swallow. So I hope that helps. Relationship with self and just healing yourself and those wounds, specifically in regards to other people, but also harnessing gifts, skills, power. Whew, Gene, when you guys come back, damn, Gene is a favorite, loved member, participant from our movement back in the Netherlands as well. But yeah, we could definitely come through. Just great seeing you. uh, okay. I'm gonna look up for the 5 more. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm gonna ask Tom. Did you see something interesting coming by? There's a lot. I mean, I appreciate it a lot. Oof. Um, oof. So much, so much. Okay, let me just make a choice. um,
What's an example of a challenge you all have worked with? Wow. Wow.
so what is a challenge I have worked through?
What's an example
An example
of a challenge
of the challenge
all have worked through
we all have worked through.
or as a group doing this work?
So what is an
Idea how you work with challenge?
okay? So an example of the challenges that we went through.
Either individual or as a group, but at least group.
um. So an example is. Damn, we can have a whole webinar about that. Let me take a last for that. Got it. See, people think I dye my hair for that reason. Nope, it's stress. So, sorry, I also have this cold. Um, damn, I think that's the hardest question to answer because there's like so many. I think I keep it, I keep it honest and close. So I'm not gonna go way too back, too way back. I think in a moment when, for example, when you experience success, we blow up. An example of a challenge that we went through is how the ego responds to that. Some of us could respond in, yeah, that's who I am. Yes, son, yes, son, yes, son. Some of us respond in a way of maybe anxiety, like, oh shit, like, oh my God, this is a lot of responsibility. Which also comes to a moment when shine happens. And for example, now we are on the forefront, we're seen by a lot of you people and receive a lot of love. But sometimes internally, there is this um, difficulties with sometimes letting someone else or other members, quote unquote, shine, which is something that often collectives don't often get described. Of course, you want the best for each other. We often refer to this group as a One Piece group, Nakama, like we all want to have our dreams together. But it also means that when one dream is about to happen, that means the other dreams cannot happen at that moment. So how do you relate to that? Like, how don't you get sour? Like, man, this is a long ass dream. This dream's taken for 4 years. Where's my dream at? And those dynamics are often not like that's known with a lot of people because you often see the backside of things as well. So, an example of how we move, because it still can happen, and somehow we move through it, is actually by cultivating this sense of two things. Actually, we try to adopt mudita, this empathic joy, really understanding what it means to experience joy in which you are not centered in, but realizing this collective awareness that if you win, I win, and if you win, we win, which takes time, but also comes with radical honesty, voicing out these moments when someone is winning or someone has a yay or someone has a nay, that we give the space for that person to voice out and let it be known that it's not personal. Often when we're in a group, there's often these old paradigms that still work and function, even if you inherently don't agree with, but it takes time to rewire through that. So we literally call it sometimes an error, or we highlight a person's journey or process. So therefore, that it's for the group, it's known that okay, this is now a chapter, so to speak. But also understanding that all of us has a role in it. My role is different than Elia's role. My role is a lot more, let's say, visible. But a lot of the things that I do are also not visible, which are visible by others. So it's actually just learning how to really support each other without the need to be centered and actually learning how to do things for each other. And that's one of the things that we try. It's still a process. We try to be as honest as we can be so that things don't. And sometimes it happens with clashes, sometimes it happens with confrontations, but you need to confront in order to grow. But from those moments, something new comes. And it's like this muscle, it just gets faster and faster and faster and faster in time. And that keeps on happening. Last question?
So about imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Woo!
Have you ever had an imposter syndrome? And if so, how do you deal with it? Do you have a psychological degree or do you have to come from books and personal?
So, in a nutshell, how imposter syndrome plays a role. Well, to be very honest, it is still very present today. At a lot of these moments, I think what's important to understand, imposter syndrome also has to do with a lack of representation. So if you don't see people who look like you, for example, see women in power or bosses, for example, you stepping into that role already triggers that notion of I do not belong, or people will think I don't know what I'm talking about, and etc. etc. So it also comes with this understanding that how I look, how I present myself, what my demographic is, and me teaching this and speaking about this and doing this is something very uncommon, where a lot of other people have an opinion over, just by some personal choices that I make, for example, or how I speak. I mean, English is my third language, so sometimes I speak not the correct way of English, but or I make different word choices, or I'm a bit more bold in things. It's something that is still there in moments, creeps in from having a TEDx talk and just being like realizing like, man, sometimes having this idea like, yo, do we actually know who they're inviting? Because 10 years ago I was not that person. But also realizing that when I was young, that I wanted people that looked like me do these things as well. So when those moments comes in, those moments of anxiety comes in, I try to I try to meet it as an invitation, as a reminder to do better, um, to do better, to not to do my thing so well that it kind of removes any seed of doubt. To use it as a motivation, to use it also not as a way to confine myself only, but also as a way to understand that every time this sensation comes in, that means I'm expanding. Sometimes and often, I don't feel actually as an imposer or imposter. I mean, often I just feel insecure. Often I've just have never done this before. Often I'm just human. So I think each one of us goes through these experiences in which you feel like, because it's usually your first time doing it. The first time doing my TEDx talk, I felt like a fraud. I mean, I felt like, why do people want to hear me talk? Let me just put some music on. Let me just dance my way out. But through these experiences, I've learned that I can speak and tell stories as well. So every time that sensation comes in, it's a reminder that you are expanding and to trust yourself, because trust is a choice. Yes. Yeah. So I see a lot more questions coming in. It's very, very, very inspiring to see the love and the curiosity as well. Um, but sadly, we don't have that much time. Um, I think this was our this was our first online free webinar, and I think this will not be the last one as well. I will also not be doing this by myself as well because we move as a collective. And I hope this story and understanding where Amenti comes from, and of course it goes a lot deeper, even more. But we just scratched the surface here. I think this having this place also digitally to connect and discuss these things are something that we really feel drawn more to and really want to incorporate more. Um, you can, of course, check amenti.academy. It's something that we're going to be working our asses off for next year. We really want to create this online embodiment school, this embodiment school of learning, of being, and really facilitating this online community because we come from cultures that are about community. And we believe truly that having this place where you can meet like minded people, learn, is something needed in this age of social media. Genuine connection rather than artificial connection. And sometimes we can use something digitally to still create genuine connections. So once again, the challenge is there. You can watch them. You can participate in them. Tomorrow, we will have two of the opening talks that I usually do in our workshops. We have never released them. Those are usually the moments which you just see free, actually. Nets is like, free me. Um, this is actually the first time we release like a fuller version of it. You can just purchase them very cheap on our Amenti Academy. We believe knowledge is sacred as well. And those are little ways of how you can still participate or receive more than just this 1 minute snippet that you see on Instagram. It's real. It's basically how we teach. So to give you an insight to what it is that we do, because we don't do spiritual marketing, it was just Netta deciding, yo, I'm going to post this talk for you from 90 seconds, which blew up. So this is the first time you can actually participate in that. Next month, online module once again, and Elia wants to.
Oh, I think you already said it.
Oh, Elia wants to say thank you. But Elia, I mean, showing you love. This is Elia.
Hi. It's super cool to see everybody here. Hello. No, I just wanted to say that we were going to record this, or this is recorded, and you can find it on YouTube this week. If you want to get back to it, get some notes or whatever. And like I also typed down in the chat, I took pictures of the questions that are not answered. I'm a generator, so I respond to things. And I will try to use them as inspiration for my newsletters in the coming weeks. So you might have your answer through an email.
Also, before we go, we have free online workshops coming up this month. I'm checking it. Yes, free. Yes, this is two. See, as you can see, I'm a Sagittarius, and creativity and chaos is where I thrive. That's why I have Elia in my life. So we have two online workshops coming up on the 14th of December. We have a water workshop from Camilla. Camilla, is she here?
Where's Camilla?
Camilla. Yes. And she will do an online water workshop. You can grab the link in our bio, but also and she is coming in. Yes, so she will be teaching a water workshop. This is Camilla.
Come. Join.
Yes. And on the 30th, I will do my very first online movement workshop as well, to close the year off. It's my first time doing it in this way. I don't have imposter syndrome, but I'm excited for it. But it will be amazing. It will be amazing to do so. So if you never had a chance to connect, please get your tickets on somewhere here as well. It is Amenti.world. You can see it. This will be the last workshop I will be doing this year. And from next year on, from January, you got some more things coming up. But just stay in tune. Subscribe to the newsletter, because Elia is writing some beautiful things out there, which is also poof as well. You can also jump. That was not a jump, but it was a run. But jump. Yes, jump upon our YouTube channel. We're gonna be doing a lot more longer content forms of video, and Nets just loves white things because he's sick and tired of vertical things. As a video maker, he's like, man, I want some white things as well. So there will be a lot of experiences. There's some Amenti experience in our journey when we went to Dominican, to Senegal. So you can just check these Amenti experience so you can see the collective and what it is that we do even more. The Japan trip will also be there as well. And yeah, that was it. I want to think All right, let the rest come in and say hi as well. Yay, 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 yay.
Wait, you can see everybody.
Yes,
like this.
yes,
Nice.
yes.
I want to film this. Wait.
Put
I
on
know
your
the
pretty
people.
face.
Yes. Amazing, 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 amazing,
Cool.
amazing.
All them pretty
Amazing.
faces.
Ah!
These are all beautiful, beautiful people.
Yes. Wow.
Ah. Dan begin? Ja, dan.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you all for being here as well. Hopefully, this is not the first and last time. We're going to be doing a lot more online things as well. So hopefully, we see you very soon as well. Stay connected. You're part of our extended tribe. So hopefully, we see you soon.
Lobby! Bye.